System riding to the core. Yeah. Reppin' inner city left.
This is the Inner City Left broadcast. Today is Tuesday, July 15th. I am Amin TMK alongside Emoja Little Tanky Sumler. Emoja, hello. We didn't take a week off. We were gone for a week. We didn't have a week off. I'll tell a little bit more about the story, but how are you doing? How was your weekend? How was your Tuesday?
Sanctions on everybody. Sanctions on 500% sanctions. Sanctions on taking a week off. 500% sanctions on taking a week off.
Man,
that shit.
Man, the sanction bug is out there right now. I do want to just briefly talk a little bit about last week because I think it's important, and then we're going to get into our nitty gritty stuff. We were supposed to have Matt Cedillo on with Ernesto Ayala, who is one of the leaders of the La Raza movement in Los Angeles, involving themselves with the illegal ICE detainments and the kidnappings, really, if you will. We were going to have that discussion. Ernesto was unfortunately and unlawfully
detained by the American Gestapo.
Yep, and we were unable. He is out now. I will try to remember to leave any links if you want to contribute to the legal funds and those processes. Matt, we still going to have on, and hopefully we'll be able to have Ernesto Ayala on as well. So yeah, that was that thing. And we're sending them love, but we are going to get back onto what we were talking about today. There's lots to discuss, and this is the first thing. This is from Megatron Ron. Breaking: 20 countries, including China, Spain, Ireland, are meeting in Bogota this coming week to declare concrete measures against Israel's violations of international law and genocide in Gaza. That's being reported by the Middle East Eye, a very good publication. The states due to take part in the summit include Algeria, Bangladesh, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, China, Colombia, Cuba, Djibouti, Honduras, Indonesia, Ireland, Lebanon, Malaysia, Namibia, Nicaragua, Oman, Portugal, Spain, Qatar, Senegal, South Africa, Turkey, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, Uruguay, and Palestine. We've been talking a lot, Tanky, sort of about where this meeting point, this unstoppable force, immovable object kind of meeting point is between the West and the global South and all this different stuff. I just wanted to get your reaction to that, and just generally kind of what has been your vibes over this last few days.
Well, it's interesting that you can draw. I'm joking about sanctions, but you can draw a direct corollary between who's getting, at this point, right, it's really hard to figure out where tariffs end and where sanctions begin. Look at how many of those nations specifically are tariffed or at a higher rate, okay, than, let's say, the Western counterparts, or outright sanctioned, right? And it's hard to not draw a correlation, right, between the West and financial punishment for those that choose to indict Israel for this genocide that everyone is clearly watching, And Qatar tries to play it close. It tries to play it both ways, much like Turkey. Qatar is where Al Jazeera is, and the one hand where they're like actually losing a significant amount of journalists, and that's real blood they put into the game, and that's to their credit. On the other hand, they got backroom deals where Qatar's essentially normalized relations with Israel. They've pushed and propagandized for HTS in Syria. They've helped to relaunch, Al Julani's brand, head chopper in chief, as a respectable authoritarian president, the appointed president, not the elected, right? Qatar has done a huge amount of the heavy lifting, as with Turkey, So, but I mean, it's not without merit, right, that these countries are putting their names on the line to really try to, because they don't have to do anything, right? Like the best, easiest path for most middle of the road countries is actually to do nothing. So it's it is a stance that's hard to ignore. We'll see what comes of it. It's hard to see legal processes against Israel at this point as anything other than symbolic, because at the end of the day, how are you going to enforce any judgment, right? We already have a warrant against Bibi Netanyahu and some of his generals for their conduct in the genocide of Gaza. And Israel has been cited by the International Criminal Court. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are the two biggest courts. Like, what more can happen? To me, it's not real until all of these countries stop doing business with Israel. That's the only real way to sanction them at this point. Sanctions on Israel. We're no longer trading with them. And that's what the BDS movement was really about. And that's why it received so much flack. Because that was a really kind of an intelligent, let's look at the companies that are operating out of Israel. Let's name those companies. Let's really make a concerted effort not to do business with those companies. And there were real impacts. We were able to look at Starbucks stock go down. We were able to look at McDonald's in the Middle East plummet, But to me, those are the only mechanisms so far financially that have had any type of real impact. Other than that, Israel's like, sanction us with your armies, and only Israel and Yemen so far are willing to do that. And, for a very brief period of time, let's also acknowledge Beirut, in Lebanon,
The Northern Resistance, Iran, and Yemen,
right.
Obviously. Okay, let's, the BRICS summit just went down in Brazil. And during the BRICS summit, Donald Trump decided to write a 4-page letter. It wasn't 4 pages. It was just 2. This is it right here. Let's talk about it. He sent it to Lula. Now, as you know, or you may know, 2 years ago, Brazil had a very big election. Bolsonaro, the right-wing candidate, was, defeated by Lula, who is the left-wing candidate. And Lula also promised to take legal action against Bolsonaro for several different reasons. One of the main ones was, the destruction of indigenous land and the illegal occupation and removal of the citizens there, including possible murders. So that was something that Lula stood on business on. We heard all this stuff, remember, from Trump, about Hillary, we're going to lock her up. And we want to maybe have to, we might have to touch on the Epstein stuff as well. But, now he's sending a letter to Lula. I don't know how much of this I want to read. You can read it if you're on the screen. If you're, listening on the broadcast, I'll do the best I can. Or do you want to give it a shot? Or what do you want to do? You want me to go ahead and read it?
No, I get it.
Okay, let's give it the tanky reading.
The White House, Washington, July 9th, 2025. His Excellency Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, Brasilia. Dear Mr. President, I knew and dealt with former President Jair Bolsonaro and respected him greatly, as did most of the other leaders of countries. Leaders of countries is capitalized. The way that Brazil has treated the former President Bolsonaro, a highly respected leader throughout the world during his term, world and term are capitalized. Included by the United States is an international disgrace. This trial should not be taking place. Trial is capitalized. It is a witch hunt, capitalized, that should end, all caps, immediately. Doing part to Brazil's insidious attacks on free elections and the fundamental free speech, capitalized, rights of Americans, capitalized, as lately illustrated by Brazilian Supreme Court, which has issued hundreds of secret, capitalized, all caps, and unlawful, all caps, censorship orders to the United States social media platforms, threatening them with millions of dollars in fines and eviction from the Brazilian social media market. Started on October 1st, 2025. We will charge Brazil a tariff of 50% on any and all Brazilian products sent into the United States, separate from all sectoral tariffs. Goods transshipped to evade this 50% tariff shall be subject to a higher tariff. In addition, we've had years to discuss the trading relationship with Brazil. We've concluded that we must move away from the long-standing and very unfair trade relationships engendered by Brazil's tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers. Our relationship has been, unfortunately, far from reciprocal. Capitalized. Please understand that the 50% is far less than what is needed to have a level playing field. Capitalized. We must have with your country. It is necessary to have this and rectify the grave injustices of the current regime. As you are aware, there will be no tariff if Brazil or companies within your country decide to build or manufacture products with the United States. And in fact, we will do everything to get approvals quickly, professionally, and routinely. In other words, in a matter of weeks. Now, let me break this down because this shit is crazy, right? I mean, that a president said this to another president is wild as hell. So first off, Bolsonaro was at best a proto-fascist. I mean, if you hate Trump, you really gotta hate Bolsonaro, who was a proto-fascist, who were LGBTQ issues horrible, indigenous issues horrible, selling his country out to the West. I mean, this is Bolsonaro. But in addition to all of that, this man staged a literal coup. So anybody that's pissed off about January 6th, you need to respect that Bolsonaro took it to another level after he lost his election to Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, right? Now let's look at the second paragraph. Brazil's insidious attacks on free elections and fundamental free speech rights of Americans. What the fuck rights do Americans have in Brazil? And he's talking about, let's be honest, this is talking about Brazil sanctioning Twitter. Okay, so Elon's not even a fucking American. He's a South African. South African, air quotes. You know what I'm saying? But how is this any different from America threatening to get rid of, TikTok, right? Like, countries have the sovereign rights to include or not include any social medias they want. That's part of their sovereignty. America, there's all kinds of apps America does not allow you to have. I mean, shit, there's antiviruses America won't let you have in this country because they have sanctions on the countries that they come from. So this is, again, just more American bullshit. And then when you're talking about the trading relation with Brazil, the fact of the matter is Brazil, Americans want things that are made in Brazil. Brazilians don't necessarily want things that are made in America. They're overpriced. They're not particularly good. And they're more geared towards American markets. Think about cola, right? In America, Coca-Cola and Pepsi run everything. Coca-Cola and Pepsi ain't gonna run everything in Brazil. They drink different shit. You know what I'm saying? So when you're talking about these, it's just ridiculous. And it's in line with how Trump always is. This is a bully attempt. He did much the same thing about a week ago with Israel, right? He was able to bully the Israeli Supreme Court out of charging Bibi Netanyahu, the last person on earth that probably has the Epstein list, right? I joke, I kid. And was able to get that corruption scandal derailed, delayed, whatever, much the same thing. Oh, this is the witch hunt. And he got the same words all the time. Of course, witch hunt is what he used for himself, right? Anytime political repercussions are coming across someone that he likes, it's a witch hunt. But it's not a witch hunt to go after Hillary. It's not a witch hunt to go after Biden, to threaten. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know, I don't even like these fucking Democrats, man. But this is the shit that Trump be on, So when it's his friends, it's a witch hunt.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to read what he said because this is how America is speaking. Witkoff and all these other guys, they go over there, they meet with people, and they talk about things, and everyone's trying to be respectful, except America. They don't care. They're coming in there.
50% tariffs on being respectful.
Yeah, 500% tariffs on diplomacy and mutual respect. Like, you can't. Someone mentioned this. They were like, because we've been watching. I don't know if you guys have seen Better Call Saul. This is my first time seeing it, and something that I learned from watching the show in terms of how we deal with geopolitics is law and discussion. It's all about insinuation and sort of the way that law works, the way that criminality works. A lot of it's insinuation, and sometimes you have to kind of break it down to brass tacks. There's always a moment where it's like, let's keep it real. And we watched one of the characters, Mike Ehrmantraut. He's trying to get trying to find something. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but essentially he's like, here's the carrot and here's the stick, right? And everyone knows that the carrot is the thing that the horse wants or whatever, and the stick is, kind of what gets it out in front for you to try to grab it or hit it on the behind. And essentially, America has no carrots. They have no carrots to give. They speak to people like children. Yeah. And people, number one, people don't react well to that type of stuff. Unless you're a puppet government or something like that, you don't react well to that type of challenge. And I think America previously were about giving some carrots, and now they just don't have any carrots left to give. All they have left is sticks. Let's show some more stuff, because I think I love to be able to do stuff like this, just because I don't want y'all to always just listen to us, even though we're really good at this and whatever. But let's take a gander here, because we hear all about you joking about the sanctions, 500% sanctions, 100% sanctions. Let's take a look at global trade dominance here between the United States and China. In the year 2000, that's a Conan O'Brien reference for those, but here, look at this. Look how America is trading all of South America, much of Africa, much of Europe, including Russia, India. America obviously doing what they do, which is maintaining economic hegemony over the world. It was even more prevalent in the 80s and the 70s and the 50s and things like that. Now let's look at 2024. Whole lot more blood right there. That's what I'm. Those are bloody shoes right there, because the red here, this is representing China. I don't see a single America in here in Africa. All of Asia pretty much taken up, other than maybe Japan or even Japan here is a bigger trader to China. And look at this. Very few. Just North America is where the trade is happening only for the United States. What do you see when you see this? And, there's been this talk with Trump of saying he's taking down BRICS and things like that. I mean, what does this map show you?
When we talk about the empire in decline, in retreat, this is what this graph is showing you. I mean, look what a difference a quarter century makes, right? I mean, in 2000, the United States is the preeminent trading partner on every continent on the planet, including Asia. By 2024, America is not even the leading trading partner of Australia. No country in Africa is America the largest trading partner of. America's not even the largest trading partner of Saudi Arabia. I mean, there's only 3 or 4 countries in South America that still have the United States as preeminently their largest trading partner. And I suspect that Venezuela and Colombia will be trading more with China very shortly. And if you add another quarter century, probably Mexico. The United States empire is in decline. And if I can't show you that economically, where else is it going to show more? Because it's an empire of money and muscle. And, muscle, you can see the American empire is in retreat. I mean, they had to, right? I mean, they couldn't continue a war with Yemen. I mean, the American muscle is in retreat. You know, I mean, what's it? So we're supposed to believe these are the people that are drawing up game plans to embattle China, a country where the demographics alone should prevent hostility. I mean, if every American joined the military right now, we'd have to kill 3 Chinese each to win. Their population is 3 times larger than ours. You know, and we're talking about waging war with them as if they're not one of the preeminent technological cultures in the world. We assume that we'll be bombing places like Guangzhou and Shanghai and Beijing, right? And that they will not in turn be bombing San Francisco and LA and Portland, right? Those days are gone, man. You hit a peer rival, and that's pain on both sides. You know, that's pain on for as long as both of you can endure it. And the thing that the American empire has shown is in retreat, its ability to endure pain is greatly diminished. You know, it goes back to the whole conflict between, you know, Israel and Iran. Iran knew something that Israel did not know. Israel assumed it would never be coming back. And you could look for much the same of a type experience, except the Americans will probably do worse in China than the Israelis did in Iran. Because, hell, I mean, they had the whole world helping for their attack in Iran. All of Europe is helping, America, all of NATO is helping Israel. They're refueling the planes and whatnot, and they're able to get back to safe spaces where they can land these things. Where is a safe space if you engage in a war with China? Is it Japan? I don't think so. Is it South Korea? Is it the Philippines? I don't see any of those places as inherently safe. You know, so the whole risk of even engaging them in this way is dangerous. And yet it's the only thing the empire has left. They've lost financially. They've lost the money. And so now the only move left is the muscle.
Yeah. And, you know, they're trying to make it clear to countries like Japan. I hate we say Japan because they don't say Japan. Nippon. You know, like, again, the Western world, you know, I'm not trying to virtue signal, but it's literally Nippon. You know, South Korea, they're trying to convince them, like, or maybe the Philippines. They're like, yo, it's going to go down. And now they have to decide, like, okay, this is what happens when you get involved with the United States. Well, what are the things? And that means at some point you're going to have to pull up, or you're going to have to allow us to use whatever we want so we can pull up. And countries are going to have to make those decisions. Yeah.
And when you're talking about those decisions, this is not a metaphor. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, you heard it here first on Inner City Left when Ukraine was about to pop it off. You heard it here first with the Iran thing. When we're telling you this China thing is for real, it is for real. Pete Hegseth last week wrote to the Prime Minister of Japan and the Prime Minister of Australia, and it asked them to define in writing what their role would be in the case of hypothetical physical confrontation with China. That's not the kind of shit you do when you're playing. You literally go into Japan and you're like, well, if it pop off, it's like when you go into the bar and it's a dude that you hate and you know he gonna be there, and you come in there with your homies, you're like, hey, look, I'm just trying to get this. All right, so when I swing on dude, you got me.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
a little plan
this
to let you know
man.
what it is if it goes south.
You
because
know,
there's a rule that many people use, and that's I don't do one-on-ones. I'm a big proponent of that.
See, I'm here with all my friends, right? America's asking who's their friends. They assume none of these people are friends with China.
They're not really asking. You know, they're like demanding.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
With?
When we swing, what's going to be your role?
And that's what happens now as we move toward this idea of World War III. You know, you may believe we're in it or not, but essentially that's what coming to. And I want to bring this up because we already have a enormous hot war that's been going on for now 2+ years in Ukraine, in the Donbass.
And Gaza.
Of course, but that's not a war. That's a Holocaust. So, of course, it's major conflict.
Military engagement.
Military
hot
engagement.
military engagement.
Of course. And there are many other military engagements, whether
Right.
it's hard to say, militias, militaries, who's funded by who,
100%.
lots of stuff. But essentially, two big militaries, fully funded, fully equipped, fully staffed. Well, not necessarily Ukraine, but at least in the beginning, they were absolutely, had a tremendous amount of manpower.
Yeah, man, now they got these poor little Ukrainians foot racing across the parks, bare feet, running away from the recruiters, man. Long live democracy, man.
Yeah, it's all over the place. And there's something that's also just insidious about this whole thing. So, I want to show this because this is, remember how I talked about sort of in South Korea, they have high suicide rate, they have a low birth rate, and it's completely different in North Korea. And it's, even though North Korea is supposed to be impoverished, South Korea is supposed to be more modernized, the Western culture introduces this stuff to you and it lessens your ability. But and they're insidious and they do whatever they want. So let's take a look at this. You have, there we go. You have this is surveillance video, okay? And this is essentially Ukrainians in the Ternopil region. This is a crematorium, okay? This is from Russian security officials, so maybe you have to take that with a grain of salt. I look at it as more confirmation. Ukrainian authorities are cremating remains of Ukrainian soldiers received through prisoner exchanges to avoid paying death benefits to families. We reported this 2 weeks ago. This is more evidence showing that you literally not even allowing the people in Ukraine to get benefits for supposedly dying for their sovereignty or whatever story that there is there. But here you see these prisoner exchanges, which are already ridiculous. I don't remember what the last numbers was in terms of how many Russian soldiers.
65 to 1.
65. So you're getting 65 Ukrainian soldiers per one Russian soldier. I mean, again, that's to let you know what's happening in Ukraine, where the war is, and it's getting worse every day. Again, you're watching this type of stuff in real time twice a day. We're seeing this. This is a hot war. Possibly up to 1 million Ukrainians dead. And this is existing. It just doesn't happen here. It doesn't affect us. Again, I get very upset with, I don't want to say leftists. I don't know what we call ourselves. But I get upset with leftists because they don't talk about this. They don't talk about Russia and Ukraine. It's such a huge dominoes all during this conflict. And again, it's just another line in the sand that the global South has, put down to say, well, we're going to pull up. And no one thought, we knew, but not a lot of people thought that Ukraine was going to go through this special military operation. Obviously, if you study this, you'll know. But people will pull up. They did pull up. And there's going to be a culture now of pulling up. Your thoughts on this and just generally in the Russia-Ukraine conflict?
Yeah, man, I got to say, this is some ghoulish shit, man. We joke about a lot of things. This is some ghoulish shit. Imagine one of two scenarios. One, you love your country so much, you rush off to join the Ukraine fighting forces to save the sovereignty of Ukraine. And no matter what your job was, it's not bad. Because you're going to get all of this American money for being, part of the military. Because please understand, the Americans are paying the salaries of the Ukrainian army. Or conceivably giving money that's supposed to go to pay the salaries. And you're told that if you die, there will be this huge death benefit. And you're like, well, I don't want to die, but at least if I die, my wife will be good, my kids will be good, my mom, whatever,
Some solace.
Now, there's another scenario, and it's worse than that. You don't give a fuck about this war. You don't give a fuck about Zelensky. You didn't vote for him. You don't got no problem with Russians. But you get drafted anyway. And when I mean drafted, I mean you go to the grocery store, right, to buy some food for your family. Recruiters, they run it through. They see that you are an able-bodied man, grab your ass, throw you in a van, give you a week to 2 weeks of training, and they tell you, well, you're going to fight and serve the country because that's what the country needs. But don't worry. If you die, your money, this benefit will go to your family. The one thing that's certain in both of these situations is the poor little Ukrainian dies. right? Now that brings into perspective what's happening now, right? These people are dying for their country, and Zelensky and these corrupt bureaucrats and this corrupt military in Ukraine is literally cremating the body, so there's no evidence that your Timbrovsky died. Your little Timbrovsky.
Look at this.
Running, man. Running through the fucking streets for his life, man.
This is, yeah. And we see this often in Ukraine. We see mothers fighting recruiters on the bus, and they're just like, they're the snatch gang, They're the gang squad.
Motherfuckers up. Don't think we're
Body
playing with
snatchers.
y'all. We telling you the truth, and we actually holding back how wild it really is. This is happening every day in the streets of Ukraine. Dudes are getting gaffled the fuck up and sent to fight for a war. And when you die, the government don't even give you nothing, no way, because they've spent it all. You got members of the Ukrainian parliament saying, yeah, it's great that NATO's sending us weapons, but we really need bodies. Why did she say that? Why the fuck did she say that? I thought they was winning. They need bodies because they have been destroyed in a way that even the Western news has not begun to even hint at Americans, to Americans. Because Americans' egos cannot stand the fact that we gave them all this technology, we gave them all this intel support, right? And other than these one-off little pinprick attacks like with the drones, you damaged some Tu-95, some 80-year-old Tu-95 bombers that, by the way, only one or two of them were actually destroyed. Almost 24 of them were repaired and have later been utilized in this missile campaign that's happening against Kyiv that the president is talking about, right? I thought all of Russia's strategic bombers were blown up. They were so proud of their pinprick attack, and here they are now, feeling the wrath of that. And this is all punishment. This is all punishment, right? At this point, it's just them demonstrating we've been holding back this whole fight to give you an opportunity to come to your senses, because we see you guys as culturally Russian and we don't want to fucking hurt you. But if you continue with this, we're going to have to show you how strong we really are. It's when your little cousin is talking shit and teching. He think he good. And you really just, you're just hitting buttons, just playing with him, keeping it fun. And you really start to show him, oh no, bro, this is what a perfect look like. And we getting close to that. Like, Russia's tired of fucking playing about this. Especially now that Germany and Merz, their new prime minister, is talking about, supplying their patriots, which, by the way, what good are those going to do? There's not nearly enough. And Israel demonstrated that again. If Iran can penetrate Israel's missile defense with things much better than the Patriot, but also including the Patriot, what hope does Ukraine have of stopping Russian missiles with, oh my God, 10 new missile? They're talking about literally 10 interceptors, bro. 10 missile interceptors, which means 5 volleys. 5 missiles. You're going to burn that in one day.
This should show you that America is going to try no matter what. It doesn't matter that they can't win. It doesn't matter that there's no ability to regain global hegemony. They're going to try either way. Donald Trump was supposed to, when he came in, look, I'm not a MAGA person, but he came in and he was like, going to stop the war in Ukraine, going to be the president of peace, America first, blah, blah, blah. Of course, we knew it was BS, but they run through it. There has been no change in the last 12 years over the policy. I mean, I guess you can go back to Obama. That's another 20 years of this Ukraine policy that's not changed at all, even though there is no way to win. It's in a lot of ways, it's already over.
Trump gave a speech. Not Trump. I'm so sorry. It's Putin. Gave a speech maybe a week ago where he talked about how he misjudged the Americans in the West, how he thought at first it was an ideological struggle, how they felt like, maybe they think we're still communist. Maybe if we prove to them that we're capitalist, that they'll somehow let us be part of this new world. And he's like, it's only within the last couple of years that I realized, no, their issue is Russia in and of itself. We are too big, we are too prosperous, and we are not dependent on the global chains the way that these European countries are, in a way that makes them threatening to the United States just simply for existing. So whatever you guys think, like, oh, it's Putin. No, it's not Putin. When Putin is gone, the United States will. The Americans were trying to destroy Russia before Putin, and they'll be trying to destroy Russia after Putin. Putin is not eternal. Putin is not forever. Putin probably will not even serve another election. I can't see why he'd want to. Xi's much the same way. They try to put these guys out there like dictators, but nobody wants to do this shit forever. This shit is exhausting.
Yeah, now well said. I want to give a shout out to our podcast listeners. We're available everywhere you find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, all those good things. Shout out to our patrons, patreon.com/InnerCityLeft. We appreciate y'all so much. I can't tell you how much, we've been able to accomplish and move forward just for having that community, and y'all the real heroes. You can find our music everywhere you find music. Community TMK, Lil Tanky, Fables, Foibles, and Other American Sins on InnerCityLeft.com. Follow us on Instagram if you have an Instagram, even if you're not posting a lot. We really do post a lot of news, usually 2 or 3 times a day. Again, shout out to Ernesto Ayala for being, unfairly a real one being unfairly detained because of the love and that he's willing to exhibit for his community, which is obviously a very humbling experience. So shout out to him and the best to him. Final thoughts. Anything we missed, Tanky?
Fredo, don't go against the family. Or it'll be fucking tariffs, man. 50% tariffs. 500% tariffs.
Yep. We tariffing everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah. Yep. For Emoji Lil Tanky Somewhere, I'm Amin TMK. This is the Inner City Left broadcast. Peace.
System riding to the core. Yeah. Reppin' Inner City Left.